Well, hi there. My name is Nancy Yuskaitis, and I am an international best-selling author. So proud of my book. I grew up in Florida. I grew up in Miami, Florida, and that's where I spent most of my life in South Florida until the last few years. Um, I am a psychic medium, a spiritual life coach, and I have been a grieving mother my entire adult life. And so that has given me a perspective and a compassion and empathy for wanting to comfort, inspire, and assist others who may have had a similar journey. Writing this book has been an ongoing process, as it probably has for many people. I started writing in high school. I started writing poetry. And then life happened, and writing wasn't so important to me, but journaling was important. And so I journaled throughout the decades with all the different challenges and changes that my life brought to me. But about 10 years ago, I decided I was going to write a book. And so I started then looking at all the different publishing companies, taking writing courses, writing, and then as life would have it, that next year, my adult daughter passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. And that shattered my world, of course, but it also prompted my writing. It inspired, it lit a fire under my writing. And in the meantime, with my mediumship, I started communicating with my daughters from the afterlife. And so that fueled my writing as well. And so I didn't meet Shush until a year ago. And I just happened to take a course with her, take one of the free sessions online, not quite as elaborate as the one you two just hosted that I also participated in, which was fabulous. But that was just enough to have me sign on the dotted line and begin my book journey. I always had the idea that sharing my story would help others. And over the years, I honed my writing skills into something that could be readable and teachable. I was going for writing a teachable memoir, and so not just one that described the story of my life and all the heartbreaking moments in it, but the transformation that occurred and that can also occur for everyone else. And so I didn't have so much fear about the writing process. It was the publishing process. It was the editing and the formatting and the pulling it all together and the getting it online all seemed above my technical ability. And so working with global book publishing, all of my fears in that way were put to ease, and it was just a pleasure. Holding this book in my hands is a way to honor my daughters. It's my legacy, and it honors the life of my daughters, who never lived on earth at the same time, but in the afterlife, they united together to assist their mom and many other beautiful souls on how to heal from loss and live with purpose and grace and joy again. I think what made the moment seem very real was when I started receiving book covers that were aligned with my vision, but wider and more creative and more beautiful than I could have imagined. Well, I knew that I wanted something, uh, you know, nature wise, and I knew I wanted, Shush and I talked about blue and white and butterflies and that sort of thing, but and I played around with the online sites and sent them photographs, even maybe using some of my own photographs, and we just didn't really have it until Nick. Really, I just enjoyed working with Nick. He was brilliant and so kind and wonderful. So he was the manager, right? The editing manager that worked with me, and of course, sending off the final edits were just amazing, because it takes, I had 100,000 words written, and they were in somewhat of an order, but doing the editing with you guys was just so wonderful, and the software, the system in which you work, makes it so doable and not confusing and very straightforward. And so I loved that process. I loved the editing process with you. If I hadn't signed with Shush at the day that I did, which was about a year ago, I would still have all my writing in my laptop, in Scrivener, in Word documents, and printed out. I was so careful not to lose it that I had it printed out in chapters in binders that I carried with me everywhere for a few years. And so, well, I mean, everywhere when I would leave home for any length of time. And so, being that we live in Florida half the year and New Mexico the other half the year. And I wanted to keep working on it, and I didn't want to lose it, so I had it backed up in multiple ways. But it would still all be there if I hadn't taken your program, taken the 7-step writing program to formulate it all into chapters, even more than it already was, and to do the research, which I had already done, but this streamlined the process of answering the questions, implementing the answers. And so yes, I wouldn't have a book if I hadn't met you. I'm certain of it. Well, the 7-step writing program really crystallizes the process in a simple way, because a lot of times your writing is all over the place. The documents are all over, and you don't have it in the concise enough form. Because actually, when you submit your manuscript, it has to be pretty ready to go. That's one thing that surprised me, is how ready it needed to be. I think maybe other times in the publishing industry and other authors, remember, I would hear of famous authors usually, but well-known authors who would just give their journals, and next thing you know, there'd be a book. But nowadays, when you're self-publishing and doing it even in a partnership like this, you need to have it pretty ready to go. So that 7-part system breaks it all down in simple form that you can fill out, you can follow along, and it guides you all the way to the end, where you're ready to complete your manuscript for editing. If you're considering joining Global Book Publishing, I would tell you that you will find the most kind-hearted, intelligent, skilled editors, managers, everyone that you come in contact with, the designers, the book designers, the formatters, everyone that helps you put this book into form is amazing. Well, my book is called Hi Mom, It's Me, Hope, Love, and the Afterlife, and it is available on Amazon. And I can be reached by email at hopeloveandtheafterlife@gmail.com. And I have a website, nancyuskaitis.com. And I go by The Art of Soulful Inspired Living, which I explain about all those things in my book. Well, I would just say, keep your vision alive. Keep writing, keep imagining how you can inspire others, because there are always people looking to be inspired by what you have to offer. So thank you very much.